Title: The Carolinas' Establishment and Eventual Split. Intro. Hook: Picture this. A single colony so vast you could stack North and South Carolina inside it like Russian Dolsby, 'cause that's exactly what England tried to run. In 1663, King Charles II scribbled his name on a charter and handed 8 buddies a slice of North America bigger than the old country itself. 50 years later, the experiment was in tatters. One colony, tried a personalities too stubborn to share a bed. Let us rewind to the moment Carolina still meant one enormous question mark on English maps. Section 1. A gift the size of England, March 1663. 8. Aristocrats call them the Lords Proprietors. If you were feeling fancy, woke up to the best real estate deal of the century. All the land between the 31st and 36th parallels, later nudged down to the 29th. That's England plus a bit of Wales, cloaked in longleaf pine and mosquito symphonies. The charter let them mint coins, muster troops, even invent earldoms. They pictured silk-clad nobles strolling past marble fountains. What they got was pine sap on their cuffs and a lot of silence. Up near Virginia, the Albemarle settlements were basically a handful of small farms scratching out tobacco and corn. Down south, the Ashley River sight soon to swagger as Charlestown had a harbor so dazzling that even French pilots tipped their hats. 2 climates, 2 economies, one shaky hyphen between them. Section 2. Fundamental Constitutions and Fundamental Problems. In 1669, the Lords dropped a 50-page manifesto. The Fundamental Constitutions of Carolina. John Locke helped write it, probably between sips of coffee and fits of laughter. The plan sketched out hereditary barons called landgraves and Cosig. Albemarle's dirt farmers shrugged. Charlestown merchants wanted profit margins, not peerage. A letter took 8 weeks to crawl from London to Charleston. If a hurricane RSVP'd. By the 1680s, the North ignored the rulebook, the South rewrote it, and the middle distance swallowed whatever authority survived. Section 3. The Tuscarora Wake-Up Call. September 22, 1711. The Tuscarora struck like lightning along the Neuse and Pamlico rivers. Homes torched, 200 colonists dead, panic in the smoke. Albemarle sent frantic pleas south. Charlestown forwarded them to London. London debated over brandy. Finally, a South Carolina militia plus Yamasee and Cherokee. Elias marched north and ended the war in 1713. The Tuscarora marched away, but the scar remained. Upcountry folks felt ghosted by the fancy council rooms down on the Battery. Section 4. Pirates, planters, and paperwork while the North licked its wounds. The South struck gold rice gold. Legend says a Madagascar captain limped in during a storm with a fistful of seed. Tidal rivers turned into mirror-bright paddies. Indigo followed painting fields, an almost royal blue. Enslaved Africans arrived by the thousands, and by 1720 black Carolinians outnumbered white ones in the Low Country. Charleston merchants threw parties, sipped Madeira, and griped about pirates. Blackbeard, Steed Bonnet, and Bonnie Carolinas, inlets were their private soup. The Lords Proprietors shrugged. Feddo planters armed their own sloops and begged the king to please, for once, act like a king. Section 5. Carey's Rebellion and the Phantom Government between 1708 and 1710. North Carolina had no legal governor, just Thomas Carey, a merchant with political mood swings. He declared himself governor, got booted, seized power again, and triggered a miniature civil war. The mess floated across the Atlantic. The Board of Trade asked the obvious. How does one man govern settlements 600 miles apart with nothing in common but a crown seal? Their 1712 answer was gloriously dull. Split the paperwork, appoint 2 governors, and draw a line. North Carolina and South Carolina crept onto maps, polite as strangers at a dance. Section 6. Royal takeovers and rice kings. The South Carolinians didn't wait. In 1719, furious that Spanish proprietors had raided Charlestown while the Lords fiddled, planters marched into the State House and declared, "We're the king's men now." By 1729, the crown had bought out the last proprietary share. North Carolina followed the same year after heirs to the Earl of Granville squabbled over back rent. Both colonies went royal, yet the differences hardened like low country mud in summer. Section 7. 2 economies, 2 worlds. North Carolina. Small farms, tar kilns popping like kettle corn, tobacco curing in the barns, and a coastline so shallow ships anchored 5 miles out and hollered for a ferry. South Carolina. Golden rice cascading down wooden chutes, indigo cakes stacked like printer ink blocks, Sea Island cotton waiting for Liverpool looms, By 1776, North Carolina was 90% white farmers, South Carolina was 60% enslaved Africans. The split wasn't just political anymore, it was cultural, economic, and written in the very soil. Section 8. Revolution and the Legacy of Division. When the Revolution rolled around, North Carolinians tarred and feathered tax agents. South Carolinians toasted King George until 1776, when both declared independence for opposite reasons. Backcountry North Carolinians wanted more seats at the table. Rice Kings wanted fewer tariffs. Fast forward to 1861, North Carolina's mountain boys shouldered rifles, while South Carolina fired the first shot at Fort Sumter. Today, the state line still marks accents. Barbecue sauces, vinegar versus mustard, and which shade of blue you wear on Saturday. Call to action: if you like your history messy, ambitious, and stubborn as mule traders, hit subscribe. Next week we re-diving into Georgia, how the youngest colony almost tore itself in half before the ink on its charter had dried. Conclusion: so why are there two Carolinas? Because a king's gift couldn't bridge rice paddies and pine barrens. Because 8 weeks is an eternity when pirates are drinking your rum. And because people then, as now, would rather draw a line than share a dream. One charter, two colonies, and a thin border that still speaks every time you cross it.